So in today's video, I want to show you guys some basic stretches that are really great generally, but also specifically for archery. So because of what we're doing, the first thing I would always start with, I'd kind of work down the body. The first thing I would always start with is some neck stretches. So what I would do for those is simple to start out with, just as you're standing, just a simple neck stretch. Just let the weight of your hand rest on your head, and then you can feel the stretch in your neck and then maybe slightly in the upper trap as well, and then you would just hold that for a bit. So for most of these stretches, kind of 10 to 15 seconds for the hold. I won't do that now obviously because I'm showing you, but that's what you're looking for. So then with this one as well, you can then also just make a variation and turn the head to the side like that, and then obviously you would do the other side as well. So that way you're doing both sides. With these neck stretches, another thing you can do is basically put your opposite hand or arm in a different position, and then it kind of changes it into a neural stretch. And this is quite useful as well, and I quite like doing these. It definitely helps when I've had some shoulder niggles, that kind of thing. This has helped me out. So for instance, on the right side, if you're here, what you can do, one example is you can put your thumb across your hand and then put your hand out. So you're just putting your hand out and then bending the hand down slightly, so like this. So you're just putting that there and then here, and what I can feel here is I can feel the stretch going all up my arm as well. So just be careful when you're doing these, but they can be really good. So you would just again hold that, and then you can do the other side as well. So these stretches I really like doing, especially if it's been windy or a long training day. They're really, really good to do. Another one you can do with the neck is, again, put your thumb in across the palm of your hand, and then now close your hand and put your hand behind your back like this, and then you can do the stretch. So like that. And this is another good one. You can do both sides as well. So you do the same thing again, behind your back, and then stretch the other side. So as you're doing this, these are really good for the neck. Another one I quite like to do is just use both hands on the back of the head and just rest on the neck, stretch this way. And then you can, if you like to, you can also just stretch slightly the other way as well. So these are really good, just general neck stretches anyway, but because of what we're doing, a lot of shoulder work and that kind of thing, these are great, you know, after a shooting session. The next thing that I definitely recommend is pec stretches, because again, what we don't want is kind of rounded shoulders forward. We want nice posture, and there can be a tendency, you know, when we're shooting a lot, because of the nature of archery, there can be a tendency of shortening the pec a little bit, and then, you know, this can over like a long period of time can develop some niggles. So just some basic pec stretches are good. So maybe hand against a wall or whatever, and you can just stretch here. So I can feel that stretch coming across the pec here, and you can also change the height that you're stretching. So you can change this obviously. What you don't want to do when you're doing this pec stretch is allow the shoulder to come forwards like this, because there's no point in that, and that's not going to be very helpful. So you want to keep the shoulder in the normal position, and you want to feel the stretch here, not like that. So you can stretch there, and when you're doing these pec stretches as well, you can also actually do one where you're stretching and you slowly move up and down as well, and just stretch out. So these are quite good stretches to do. Again, specifically this one on the draw shoulder side, but I would always do the stretches on both sides as well. So these are good. Wrist stretches definitely are really good to do as well. So just a simple, you can do this one with your hand out like this, just stretching slowly the wrist. So you're just stretching it like this, and then this way as well. And again, both sides for that. Now another great stretch is coming up to the side of a wall or any other object. You can just put your hand and arm against the wall and then cross your leg over. So I would cross here, my right leg is on the wall. I would put that over my left leg and then lean into the wall like this. So I'll just move the camera now to show you. So now you can see here, I would put my hand against the wall here again, and then I take my right leg, put it over my left, and then just lean into the wall like this. And you should feel that stretch going up here and then slightly into the lats as well. And then you can also just change the position of the pelvis slightly forward and backwards to change that stretch, but this is a really good one as well. And do the other side. And that's another good one to do as well. So another great stretch is just simple toe touch stretch, and you can do that, and I'll move the camera now to show you. So you simply just stretch down like this, try and touch your toes obviously, like it sounds like. And then you can repeat a couple of times to slowly stretch. And this is a really good stretch to do, you know, after you're shooting, just general day to day as well. And it's just generally a good stretch to do. So what you might not realize is actually your glutes are linked to your shoulders. So it's really important. Lower body stretches are really helpful as well for archery. And I'm just going to go through a couple more upper body stretches first, and then I'll show you some good lower body ones. But yeah, what many people don't realize is, for example, there's basically a cross on the back. So your left glute around the back here, so also here, so sorry, your right glute is actually linked to your left shoulder. So along the back, so I'm drawing it along the front here, but there's effectively a connection between the alternate shoulder and glute. So stretching the pelvis, the back, the legs, glutes is really, really important. So now a couple more stretches for upper body, just a simple cross body stretch here. This is another good one that you can do. And then again on the other side. And then I also like a tricep stretch on both sides. So these are some just very general stretches that are really good. If you do them consistently, they're really, really useful. Now I'd like to show you some lower body stretches and thoracic stretches that are really useful as well. So the next thing that's really important to stretch is your thoracic, and increasing the thoracic mobility is really good. So a simple foam roller is really good for this. And then you start with the foam roller at the top. So maybe somewhere like here, and then hands behind the head and just simply stretch. And then you can move the foam roller down, so slightly lower, and stretch again. And then slightly lower, stretch again, a bit lower, stretch again. So these are just, you know, general thoracic mobility stretches. They're really good. Now, another great one is simply on all fours, and you then put one hand on the head like this, and then slowly stretch around. So you're not twisting the body or anything, you're not moving around the pelvis, you're just slowly rotating. And then you can also rotate around this way. And again, on the other side. And these are just general good stretches to do, and they're really, really helpful. Some lower body stretches that are very useful. For example, just simply putting one leg across to the knee and then pulling it back with your hands here. So you should feel this stretch along the glute, and then you can just slowly push away that leg with the other hand to stretch out a little bit. And then the other side, same again. You can also just keep one leg, so both legs flat, and then bring one leg towards you. And then you can, as you stretch this, move around a little bit. And again, you can feel this in the glute, a little bit in the hip flexor as well. And this is another good stretch, and the other side. So these are some kind of lower body stretches you can do. Good to do the calves as well, so just a simple calf stretch. Like that. On both sides. Really good. And you can also do a quad stretch. So this is good to do, you know, if you've got a bench, something like that. So you simply just pull one leg back, and you're stretching here, and you can feel this stretching across the front. And then the other side. Now, another great thoracic mobility stretch is using the foam roller. and you can use this to basically guide your hand through. So you put one hand here and then the other hand on the foam roller, and then you can use this to allow yourself to guide your hand through like this. And stretch round and back. And round, and then the other side. And back. So again, those are just some good stretches there. While we're on the floor as well, the wrist stretches that I mentioned earlier, where you're stretching the wrist, you can also do some other wrist stretches on the floor as well. So like this, and you can slowly stretch out the wrists here. Just be careful with the amount of weight you're putting on here, and then also the other way. And you can start with them further apart like this, and then notice how my arms are rotated towards the camera. You can rotate your arms to make it more difficult. Do it slowly, and you can also move the wrist closer together to make it more of a stretch as well. So these are just some ways you can increase basically the stretch there that you're getting. So these were just some kind of simple stretches that you can do after a shooting session and also on a daily basis, just to help with your movement in archery, and also help with recovery and injury prevention as well. They're great stretches to do, make you feel a lot more able to move through the shot in the way that you want. I'd definitely recommend giving them a go, and let me know in the comments below which stretches you already like to do and which stretches you're going to add in as well. As always, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll also put the links to social media down below, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.